Okay, so here we are in the blank thumbnail project we created last video, and today I want to show you the fill tool, which looks like this. The shortcut for that is G. But first, we need to make an object to use the fill tool and make sure it is selected. So I'm going to make a rectangle spanning across the entire canvas. And then I'm also going to go into the move tool and make sure that this rectangle is selected. And I can see that it is because I see the nodes here. Once I know my rectangle is selected, I will go into the fill tool, and here we have this like color picker here. And what this color picker here, it is actually the color of the object we currently have selected, and in our case, it's this rectangle. We can see that if we play around with these sliders here, and if you don't like these sliders for any reason, you can even change them to use other sliders like RGB sliders. But I'll stick with HSL sliders since it's the most beginner friendly. And now let's talk about the last thing below, which is this opacity. Opacity basically means how opaque your object is. Opaque just means visible. So if an object is not opaque, then it is invisible. Therefore, we can see it. Let's try dragging this opacity slider all the way down. And as you can see, this rectangle disappeared. I think it would be a lot easier to understand this opacity if we import an image to this Affinity project. And we can put an image, also called importing it, by going into File and then clicking Place. Maybe I'll see if I have any images. Yep, I think this can work here. Let's just place it and drag it all the way to fill up the canvas. And now let's go back to select the rectangle, and I will do that by going to the rectangle here instead of finding it in the canvas. And I want to make sure that it is above the image. Now, while it is still selected, go back into the fill tool and then change the opacity all the way back to the max. And now I think it would be a lot clearer what opacity is when we drag down this opacity with that image below it. Okay, so 100% opacity right now. That means the object is completely visible. All the way to 0 opacity, the object is invisible. We can't see it anymore, and it will just reveal anything below it, like this image here. So 0 opacity means invisible, 100% visible. Anything below that is semi-visible, semi-invisible, or you might also know as semi-transparent. Now you will notice that there is actually this button here, and this is for switching to noise. And what this does is that it will give your image, not your image, give your object some noise, like this kind of grainy noise. It's not easy to tell the difference right now. That's because we were at semi-transparent opacity. Let's click this button again to switch to opacity and bring it all the way back up. And boom, did you see that? All of a sudden, our rectangle is full of noise. And with this 100% opacity, I think it would make this noise slider makes a lot more sense. So at 0 noise, there is no noise. And at 100 noise, there is all this grainy kind of texture covering the entire object. Well, that was if you want to use a color, a normal color. And there are these three buttons here. The color picker, and this white here, which will basically make your object white. And then there's this none here. And none basically means your object will have zero opacity, not just zero opacity, it will not have any color at all. It will just be a completely invisible object with nothing in it. Well, that's definitely not what I want, so I'll start with white, then just play around with the sliders until I get that green color again. Or just, somewhere close to it. And this color picker for picking any colors that you see in the canvas. I am going to show you that by dragging my mouse, not my mouse, the object of a bit below, go back into the fill tool, and then just picking maybe the red of this animal here. I don't know the name of this animal, by the way. If you know, please do let me know what it's called. And there we go. We now have the color of this animal's hair. I think it's hair, or is it fur? But we have that red color as the color of our rectangle. But now that we don't need this image anymore, we could delete it. But I'm going to keep it anyways, because it might come in handy later. But you see, the thing about the fill tool is that it is not just for setting a color like this and being done with it. You can actually make gradients. And what gradients are is that they are one color gradually transitioning into another. It's a bit hard to explain, so I will just make one. And to make a gradient, make sure you have an object selected. You are on the fill tool. And then you want to go into the canvas. Click and hold that click, don't let it go yet. And drag anywhere. I'm going to drag down. And then we have our gradient. So this is a gradient. It is transitioning from this bright red to this dark red below. And we can actually change either of these colors in this color picker. So maybe instead of a bright red to dark red, you want a gradient that goes from blue to red. We can totally do that by clicking on one of these circles here called stops. And these stops, they are basically the colors that are in the gradient. Once we click one of these colors, the stops. Once we click one of these stops, we can actually change their color in here. So the other stop here is already red. I want the other to be blue, so let's do just that. Yep. See that? I think this gradient is oddly satisfying. I really love it. Oh yeah, and if for any reason you want to change the opacity of one stop, you totally can. Maybe I'll make this blue here completely invisible while the red is visible. As you can see, it creates like this kind of fog effect, a red fog. Maybe I'll bring that back to 100. And now you see the thing about this line between these stops is that we can double click on it and add even more stops between them. So here we just added a stop here. Currently it's purple because red and blue mixing makes purple. But we can change that to something like yellow. Or we could just change the opacity to 0 again and get our red and blue fog like this. Oh, and even at 0% opacity, as you can see here, the yellow is still affecting this stop here. And that might make more sense where if we bring it back to 100% opacity. Okay, so first, as you can see, this stop here has yellow, right? So in a hypothesis is that when this opacity is back at 0, there would be no yellow. But as you can see, there's still just a tiny bit of yellow, just not as visible. And at 50% opacity, so semi-transparent, it would be like a black, blue, yellow fog. Oh, and we can change the midpoint, which is basically where the stop is between the first and the last stop. Makes the stop shorter or wider. And if you want to change the order of colors, and if you want to reverse the order of the colors here, you can totally do that by clicking on reverse. And you can also use these 3 buttons to either insert more stops, copy stops, so make a duplicate of the current stop you have selected, or delete them. And that was in this color picker here, by the way, but while we still have the fill tool selected, we can actually add these stops ourselves to this line here. Just double click. And to move them around, just drag them. And to change the color, including the opacity and the noise, we can just go into the color panel while making sure we have one of these stops selected. And that's important because if we don't have any of these stops selected, we can deselect all stops by clicking on anywhere without a stop, then changing the color on the color panel is just going to get rid of that gradient and turn it into one solid color. Now let's go back and make another gradient, and I want to show you something else that you can do. So after we drag out this gradient, we can actually still change it. Change the position to be more specific. See the handles on the end of the gradients? You can actually drag them around and like move around the gradient. And you can still add stops just like normal. And with these stops, you can just still move the handles like that. Oh yeah, and by the way, you see this pigment blend? That is a toggle that is supposed to make your gradient look more natural. Personally, I like it turned on. Now, there are a few buttons in the contextual toolbar. Rotate, which will pretty much rotate your gradient. There's reverse for reversing the colors. So just like that reverse button in the color picker. Maintain aspect ratio, but this I think not a good thing to demonstrate with the linear. So For now, there's also anchor to document. Before I turn this on, I want to move around my rectangle with the gradient. And when I do that, as you can see, the gradient moves along with the rectangle. But if I move the rectangle with this anchor to document toggled on, well, now if I move around the rectangle, it's not the gradient is not moving anywhere. It's staying exactly where it is. Now let's talk about type here. This is actually the type of gradients that we can add with the fill tool. We are on linear, that is this line here. But elliptical, we get a more circular kind of gradient. And instead of just adding these stops here, we can actually make this smaller with this handle. The other handle is for making the circle either shorter or wider. It's not working right now. That's because we have maintained aspect ratio on. And remember, that is the ratio of the width and height. So if we want to make it wider now with this maintain aspect ratio turn off, we can do that. However, with the radial here, you get the same circular gradient, but no matter what, you cannot change the aspect ratio. It stays a complete one-to-one circle that is just as wide as it is tall. Before we go on to the next gradient type, I want to remake my gradient from the middle like that. Still in radial, don't worry. And then we go into conical. Now, if you ever look at the back of a CD, like a CD from a PlayStation 2 game, then you will probably see this gradient. And just like with the radial gradients, you can change the shape. Oh no, change the size. So this is the gradient type you will use to make the back of a CD if you want to, like the glare effect in the back of a CD. There's also mask. Now this is my favorite gradient, but it's also the most complex, so I don't want to spend too much time on it, lest this video would be too long. So, but first, do note that you have all these nodes here. They are the same as tops, as in you can change their color. But they are all connected with all these other nodes and stops. And you can drag them around. You can also make this like mountain effect by just dragging one of the nodes really high up. You can also, when you select a node, you get these handles for adjusting how the nodes look. There's also snapping, aligning nodes to select curves. So it will snap to the lines here between these nodes. And snap all selected nodes. So when you select more than one node, it will snap all of them. So not just one or two nodes. And there's also an option to flip the colors vertically or horizontally. Oh, and of course, there's the anchor to document still there. Now, there's also bitmap. And what this will do is that it will import an image. So let's pick one image, maybe this cat here. And if this is too big, you can pan around the canvas and scroll out until you see this handle. And as you can see, it can stretch the image. So make sure to keep maintain aspect ratio on if you want to. I definitely want to. So it makes this like pattern from the image. There are options for rotating. Oh yeah, sorry, let me zoom in back in. For rotating, resetting the transform, so turning it back to normal, and anchor to document again. And this is the interesting part, extend. But before I change that, make sure to make it smaller like this. And wrap here basically fills the entire object with this image. Mirror does the same thing, but for every one other instance of the image, it flips them both horizontally and vertically. Repeat. Yeah, it basically like extends the color at the edges of the image. And then 0. So literally just one instance of the image in the entire object. And there's also scale with object that will allow you to scale the image as you scale the object as well. You turn that off. It's not going to scale up. It's just going to be the same size. Even if we make it like very small here, very small, infinitesimal, you can't even see it. It's still going to stay the same size. We also have quality here, and this is a pretty advanced topic. So we'll save it for later when we learn about pixels, because that's when after understanding pixels, it will be easy to understand quality. For now, I did want to make a background for my YouTube thumbnail. And obviously, it cannot be this silly cat or this mogging animal. What I like to do for gradients, for backgrounds, is that I like to use an elliptical gradient. And then I will adjust my elliptical gradient to fill up the image. So not unlike with radial where it has to be circular, I prefer elliptical where I can turn off the aspect ratio, maintain aspect ratio, and make it less taller and make it wider like this, like the size of this image. And then what I like to do is that I like to make one color and then the other color I will copy the same color but make it but a little differently. So since this is going to be the thumbnail for a kids video, I like to use a playful color like yellow. And then for the other color, I said like I said the same yellow color, but I will make it just a little bit different. Maybe I'll make this one a little darker. And basically what I want is that I want there's to be still a gradient, but I want it to be so barely noticeable, more like you can feel the gradient, but you not see the gradient, at least not in a quick glance. And then I will try reversing, seeing which one I like, which order I like. Maybe this one, and then pigment blend, because I just like that pigment blend. And once again, quick quiz. How do you make a gradient with the fill tool? What is the difference between elliptical and radial gradient? What is the anchor to document in the contextual toolbar? Comment all the right answers to get your comment pin, and I'll see you in the next video.